Okay, welcome everybody to the second town hall of the academic year. My name is Melissa Michelson. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I teach in the ESL department. I think we're called Languages Department now, but I teach English as a second language. And I'm also the faculty chair of the Senate Ad Hoc Town Hall Committee. Our other members are here. I just want to introduce people from the committee. Yolanda's right here in the front. You can thank her for the snacks. Dave Kuat is sitting in the second row there. Right here. He did a great job on the handouts. Anybody who's come late, we do have more handouts. And anything that you want electronic copies of, it's on the website, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we have Chris Pilone. She is sitting in the back right there. She took care of the rest. And then myself. And there's one member, she's not here right now, but she was more active in the first town hall. That's Martha House. Welcome everybody. Come on in. If you do need chairs, there's some already in here. There's some in the back there everywhere. So today I just want to talk about, I'll just introduce the panel and introduce the format, and then we'll get going. And by the way, at any time if you need snacks and need drink, just get up, help yourselves, and be merry. So thank you for coming today, and thank you also for participating in the survey if you have done. We're going to talk a little bit about the survey results, and you mostly have it in the handouts that you can refer to. Everything is on the website of the Ad Hoc Town Hall Committee, and I just show you right here. You can take a look at one of the screens. Apparently they gave us, this may or may not change, but I don't have a pointer. But right here on the side, it says Ad Hoc Town Hall Committee. Perhaps that might go onto another location, but just so you know, it is there, and all the documents from both Town Hall number 1, which we held in November, and Town Hall number 2, this one, are here. So anything you want to refer to again is here. Okay, also I want to let you know that we are videotaping this. If you are camera shy or you don't want to be on camera, you can let me know and I can ask a question for you if you prefer. The reason why we are videotaping excuse me, is because we would like to give this, let the Board of Trustees see this as well, because the rationale and background for this town hall and why we're here is to facilitate discussion of ideas and have effective communication among various groups, various campus constituencies, including the Board of Trustees. What we're doing here today, as part of this is the culminating activity for this town hall. The first one was gathering information on the survey. We would like to, or we're trying to identify options to possible solutions to resolve the issues that are contributing to a campus climate here. First steps would be to acknowledge and discuss these issues. And ideally, today we really want to focus on where do we go from here. So last month we conducted a survey which was based, the questions came both from the 2010 Campus Climate Survey and also discussions about campus climate that we had had in the Academic Senate last semester. The college generally does a survey every 2 or 3 years, but the last one that had been done was in 2010. So we thought this information was very relevant to today for our town hall, and so we picked up many of the same questions. If you look in your handouts, there is one paper that has a comparison of the results. Okay. So the reason for that survey was it was an informal survey to help guide our directions for today. That survey went to full-time and part-time and classified staff. And let's see. So you can take a look at in your packets. If you can right now, look at this beautiful color one with all these fancy charts. We're going to focus today on just 3. Collegial consultation, which is actually on the back. There's a pie chart in purple. Since this topic consistently comes up, excuse me, in the academic center. We're also going to talk about the policies and procedures being followed at PCC. That's question number 7. And we'll talk about the transparency at PCC, which is question number 6. Okay, so in terms of the format for today, we'll discuss each of the slides. Now, you have all gotten these, and they're also in your handout. I sent it to the campus to ideally have looked at it before coming, and on the back, whether or not you knew about it, that's what I'm telling you. On the back, there's quite a lot of information that you can read. 64% of the respondents on our survey believe that mutual agreement and collegial consultation is happening poorly or very poorly here at PCC. So we'll start with this topic, but first I want to introduce the panel. We'll talk about this slide for about 7 minutes or so. We'll hear from the panel in terms of where do we go from here, and then we'll take some questions or comments from the audience. Then we'll move on to the other 2 slides, and then about halfway through the town hall, we'll just have an open dialogue of discussion. So I can introduce the panel, or would you like to introduce yourselves? If you could introduce yourself very briefly.
Okay. Jane Hallinger, relic of the past, still here, and went through a lot of this prior ages. Probably Roger and I are the only survivors of that time period, and I want to address the past in terms of the future.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm James Aragon. I'm counseling faculty in counseling and career services, and I'm here to get your input about the next steps.
I'm Mary Erin Crook. I'm in the languages department. I teach ESL. I've worked here for about 15 years. And I would also like to hear your input.
Hello, I'm Eduardo Cairo. I teach history here. I'm currently the president of Academic Center.
I'm Alexis Moore, and I've been teaching here for 18 years. I'm in the art department. I teach foundation drawing, and I'm an adjunct faculty member.
Okay, and just so you know, we also invited the board and Dr. Rocha to participate in the panel. In fact, we felt they challenged our right to even have the town hall. And if you're interested in the communications that went on, the written communication with the town hall committee, it's online, as well as there might be one more. I don't see any more actually, but it is online, and it'll be on the site. Okay, so they will be here in spirit, but we will be sure to get all of this information to them. Okay, so let's start by looking, well, you have this in front of you, and I'll just open up to the panel. In terms of mutual agreement and collegial consultation here at PCC, where do we go from here?
I'll start.
Okay, anybody can, just get louder, because I think my hand
Okay. I think that you've gone about as far as you can go with no confidence votes and with the survey. I think they've all been very necessary. I never in the history of PCC have seen 3 no confidence votes. In fact, I don't even remember one, nor do I remember seeing a survey that is this caustic in addressing some of the issues that have been with us for 3 years. I would suggest that now you are at the level of taking the high road, meaning that we've let it be seen. We could continue to tell the newspapers that things are ineffectual when they are, but instead of a derogatory, we take a positive things. Things are not working well at PCC. We are waiting, and we will not participate until we see the break where they are working better. As Roger and I know, in the 1980s, we had a very similar situation. Things fell apart. The board was very, very draconian. At least they met in Sexton Auditorium, so everyone could go, and it's an open meeting, and we didn't have police keeping us out of the meetings. But we had a very ineffectual president, and we did two things. We spent 3 years whittling away at the president, just as in a way you have been doing now, pointing out time and time and time again when things were not working. Now, this was before the days of AB 7025, so we did not have a state law to back us, but we had the ethical and moral challenge of addressing what is necessary for our students. And that's the key right here. We have the ethical and moral challenge to address what is necessary for our students to succeed in this particular environment, and to succeed with our help. And we can't give our help if we're not giving support. We know that. We finally, after 3 years, said goodbye to the president. And we had several ineffectual years after that with a long-distance president and a fill-in president. And then we finally got a permanent president. By that time, we had been able to change some of the board members. It was a very hard process, and every division had a number of people involved because we know the history that we had to change. It's been hard to find people to run for the board, but this is another issue that has to be addressed in the next couple years. Changing the board will help change the ethos of what is being done. So I would say that now we have state law behind it. It is part of the Ed Code. It is not a fabrication. It is supposed to be followed. And mutual consent, discussion of issues, open discussion, open vetting of material is part of what we need and part of what is required to give to us. And so I suggest that continually you say, sorry, we cannot make this decision because we have not been included. We have not been included in the discussion. Send it out, sit there and wait. Another week said, sorry, we cannot go to the newspapers and say, sorry, we are not moving forward as much as we wanted to in these particular issues, and do it from a very intellectually challenging way. We've finished with saying, you destroyed us. Just say, we are going to rebuild ourselves, and we need all of you. Now, in order to do that, too, we have to go and talk to the other teachers. Many of them say they're afraid to stand up. But in every kind of movement, you have to stand up at a certain point, or the movement loses its strength. Now, if you want your academics to be back where it was, faced with helping students, with lowering class size to the point where they've been lowered before, you have to invite all of your colleagues to participate. The more people you have speaking, the safer they are. Just tell them that. And they should not be afraid, because they are going to be working here for another 20 years. And what they lose now is going to take a dozen years or more to regain. We've been there before. You lose it once, it takes a long time to get it back. So just say, like Bartleby, I refuse not to. I prefer not to. We'll talk again.
So, let me begin by first stating, according to Title V, consult collegially means district governing board shall develop policies on academic and professional matters, though either or both, by the following methods, according to its own discretion. Either rely primarily upon the advice and judgment of the academic senate, or we can mutually agree. So the board shall engage in a good faith effort to reach a mutual agreement with the faculty before making or changing a policy. If boards cannot reach mutual agreement with the Senate, they should only make or change policy for compelling legal, fiscal, or organizational reasons. If through a good faith effort, mutual agreement cannot be reached between a board and the academic senate, existing policy will remain in effect. So on our campus, we have mutual agreement. All these changes that have occurred, the block scheduling, the NCNs, all these changes, none of them have occurred as a result of mutual agreement. As such, things should have remained the same. That has not occurred. The board has violated the policy. The administration has violated the policy. So this is where we stand in terms of the academic senate. What do we do from what do we do from now or from here? We've written some resolutions. We have asked for a technical visit, which will be occurring next week. And hopefully, through the technical visit, we'll be able to get some response and, more importantly, have higher authority come to the college, inform the district, inform the board of trustees that when they do violate board policy, X and X or X and Y is going to occur. And hopefully that is well, from the academic senate point of view, that's a solution that we will try to incorporate.
Can you give background on the technical visit?
Under the technical visit, what's supposed to occur is we're going to have Beth Smith, the president of the statewide academic senate, and Scott Lay, president of the California Community College League. What they're going to do is the first part of the presentation is to give a background, provide definitions for collegiate consultation, what mutual agreement is, and it is our hope that they'll be able to use examples of violations that have occurred here on campus in order to provide recourse to the problem. So they say, well, for example, if this problem does exist, this is what we recommend that the steps that the college should take. And hopefully, through this anywhere from 2 to 4 hour presentation, the board of trustees, the district, the faculty, we're all on the same page as to what needs to happen and what type of recourse will occur, might occur, if the board doesn't continue, if the board continues to violate policy.
Anybody else? Anything to add? Could anybody from the audience have any kind of solutions along the lines of collegiate consultation you'd like to share?
Mary,
Yes, Chris?
Well, I wonder if it might be an idea at the beginning of every school year to have representatives of the administration meet with representatives of the faculty and go over all the policies that we have at the college that affect shared governance, and maybe sign kind of a contract saying that we understand these policies and we agree to abide by them. Because it seems like some of the rationale for not following them is that people just didn't know what the policy was, and we all should know what the policies are, but maybe that would be a way to kind of formalize an understanding of any policies related to shared governance, and to sign something saying we're all in agreement that we're going to work together according to these policies and start the year that way.
I'd like to address one of the issues that's come up, reassign time, and address how that's being handled through some of the structures that we have in place with the with Senate committees. I'm on the Budget Resources and Allocation Committee, and we requested information in that committee about reassigned time, and the administration did provide some information. We wanted earlier data, and so then requested that, and initially management wasn't comfortable looking at that, but they did provide it to us. And I think one of the issues here is that through some of the committees we have, we don't, in the Senate, we don't actually have we don't have a standing committee on reassigned time, but one was created because of, I guess it really came out of the votes of no confidence, because in those discussions with faculty around that time, which was a year ago, February, that issue came up repeatedly. So it seemed to be an issue contributing to the poor climate on campus and lack of trust felt by many of the faculty towards the administration. And we were able to eventually, this last fall, in the Senate, we created a committee, an ad hoc committee on reassigned time. And we looked at some of that data given to us by the administration and requested a meeting. And actually that meeting was held yesterday. I was not able to be at it, but I understand that it was a fruitful and productive meeting. So I think that, what I'm trying to get at here is there's an example of, I don't necessarily know that we have to sign contracts and do those things, but I think we've got structures in place on campus, and I think we need to use them. You said we're doing resolutions in the Senate. That's a good idea. I think we've got structures that we might be able to expand a little bit so that we can broaden our conversations and people's ability to have input and participate in this process. But while we're debating these issues that are really they're incredibly passionate for most of us and sometimes heated. But I think that as we get as we see that more of us get involved, because I find myself just starting in on this, and I haven't been as involved as many of the people in this room have. But I think that by choosing to be involved, by choosing to participate in this discussion, that we can make some progress and we can move forward. And I think we're starting to see that happen a little bit now.
Okay. Board?
I wanted to let you know that the school super dean, I spoke with my super dean last week with regard to the draft document from March 6th that you're referring to, which is online for everyone to look at. And I was told that that document, first of all, never cleared through anybody, and that it's old news. So it should not even be looked at with any importance.
Well,
But I just bring that up not as a negative, but the fact that there's miscommunication on so many different levels,
yeah.
that it's important that we cover each of those different levels as much as possible. And quite frankly, even if all of us were very active, that's difficult, because now I'm talking about a conversation that's one-on-one, that's the information that was put together and presented in draft was just completely eliminated. So this presents a real consequence.
And I think if we're here to talk about ways to move forward, then you can say that maybe one step's been taken or half step's been taken here. I think that by having those documents, you can look at them and you can begin to talk about them. Whether they're correct or not, I think is a question. And we've the Reassigned Time Committee has discussed that. We have a lot of questions, and I don't know that they'll all get answered. But if people are not involved, if people are not taking that step and asking those questions, then we're not going to move forward. We can sit and complain.
I may be wrong, because, as I said, I'm not here on campus. But it seems to me one of the great losses that has occurred is the fact that people are being put in positions without opening the positions. And you can call it reassigned time, but if you're doing that, you should have a statute of limitation and reopen positions, because there becomes a stasis and a control of information and people because of the inability to make positions open. The new alignment of deans is another issue where I didn't see anyone was offered the opportunity to apply for such a role. Those kinds of appointments are destructive to the morale of the faculty and destructive to the communication systems. And I think there should be a moratorium on the number of years that people have a reassigned job, and that gives someone else the chance to do it. And I think they should always be open. And I think that's one of the factors that you have to take into consideration this next year when you start your mantra of we are going to be positive, but this is part of the positive aims that we feel are important to the college.
I'll just cut in here. According to our survey, 79% believe that the administration is operating with transparency, or is not operating with transparency. 79% disagree. So where do we go from here? What can we do as a campus, as individuals, as bodies? What do we do to deal with this lack of transparency? Yes.
So let me start off with that one. So if you look up on the screens, you have the big CAPM. So that affects the Academic Senate. CAPM stands for Council on Academic and Professional Matters. And in essence, what this is it's a meeting between the Senate Executive Board and the Executive Committee of the district. Last year, we had a new executive committee, and quite frankly, we lacked the knowledge of how this meeting was run. And during one of the first meetings, Dr. Rocha said that this meeting is behind closed doors, it's informal, what information is going to be discussed here would remain here. Eventually, the executive committee made the decision to stop attending these meetings because the information that was discussed or the agreements that were made in the behind those closed doors turned out to be presented to the Board of Trustees in a different light, and we felt that we were being used. Eventually, and as a result of that, we simply stopped attending these capital meetings because the Senate, the faculty, did not benefit from this. And in any case, we're just simply used. For that reason, we decided to stop attending. And over time, we found out, the General Counsel of the college informed us that the capital meetings are Brown Act committees. So, which meant that they are not supposed to be held behind closed doors. They're supposed to be open, public can attend, and they can be recorded, which is the exact same three things that Dr. Rocha did not want to occur. And as a result, certain items agreements were made behind closed doors. But fortunately, with the strength of the Senate, we were able to now change that, and the district has agreed to have the capital meetings open, to have them agendized, and to have it recorded. And now that this has been agreed upon, now we have just started attending capital meetings once again. I think that the point here is that if we remain diligent and constant in our moral values and our ethics, that we can change that we can change things for the better. Again, the issue to stop attending was not an issue of we don't like them, they don't like us. It was simply a matter of this is the right thing to do for the faculty, and ultimately as a result of that, these meetings are now open, are recorded. Anyone can attend, and I think it serves for the best of the community of PCC. Where's our moderator?
Sorry, I'm eating my lunch. Would anybody from the audience like to chime in about transparency? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next slide. But, anybody can talk about anything, really. These are just guidelines. So,
Well, if you go back to AB 7025, it's supposed to create this climate where information is transparent, where discussions are shared by the whole. It's not a problem with the law, it's a problem with us. It's a problem with not understanding that those meetings were supposed to be open. By law, they're supposed to be open. And again, just because people say it's not working is not an excuse. It is the law, and it is your job to say it must work. Otherwise, what we've done is destroyed the movement. This law was made to pull us closer to the university system, to move us away from the controls of the K through 12 system, where you have a very superintendent and you had a hierarchy of people that told you what to do. And there was a similarity of everything you did in your classrooms and the school. This was supposed to give us the academic rights of a university. And the academic rights of a university is to participate in the decision-making and the running. And this is one of the things that I think is necessary for us to continue to say and to get back on that level of we are higher education. We are not a controlled entity.
Well, actually, I have a question. I teach English 1B, and that's typically a class that students take as they are preparing to transfer to a four-year university. And I had a student in my office hours just half an hour ago, and he was wondering about how he should plan for his classes next year, because he planned to transfer the fall year. And he wanted to know what the calendar was. He wanted to know if there was going to be a winter session. And I said, I really don't know. And he said how important it was for him to know, because it made a difference to him whether he was going to be able to transfer next year. And so I was wondering how you are counseling students right now, students who are getting ready to transfer, when we don't even have an academic calendar, and how you advise them. Because I didn't know how to advise
Well,
them.
in the education plan, I can only speak for myself, but I do. I'm indicating just the summer, fall, and spring. So I'm already telling students as of now, there's no winter session. Now, the issue with no calendar yet, that issue just came up because I'm planning and working with my students in the winter program, and I can't plan my classes because I don't have that particular calendar. But as far as how it works, as far as the planning, we just don't include winter. So we're having to do those plans on whatever we have in front of us at the moment, still with that uncertainty. Does that answer the question?
Well, I'll tell them that when I see them.
Yeah.
Because we have a class together.
Yeah, I mean, that's effective.
Yeah, I've had students asking registration.
Right. It's a big issue.
I'll project the last slide, which is on the policies and procedures, and then we can open it up to the audience and have Q&A. I believe a few of us have to leave. Some of the panels might have class, but everybody is welcome to stay. The food will be here, the room will be here, and we can still talk. So the last slide is on policies and procedures. This is something that we've been hearing about. 71% of the surveyed participants disagree or strongly disagree that policies and procedures are being followed at PCC. A couple of these examples would be the NCN's, several Brown Act issues, interim admin appointments, hiring policies, and freedom of speech in terms of students passing out flyers. So I'll open it up, back up.
Well, I think at this point, from the academic senate's point of view, the question is, what would the staff, students, and faculty prefer the path that we take? The Senate has spent many hours looking at the violations, discussing the hiring policies, all the violations of the policies. And so what we've been able to do is pass resolutions, hoping that as one, then another, and another resolution, it's this mounting evidence against the college for the way, the method by which things are being implemented. So it's not that we're against a change in the scheduling. It's not that we are against the changes that are occurring on campus, but it's the method by which they are being implemented. And I believe that one of the key points here for today is to get ideas. Are we on the right track in terms of this is what we believe the solution should be? But hopefully by gathering so many different minds here, different opinions, we can come to a consensus as to you're right, you're on the right track, you're on the wrong track. Have you considered this or option A or option B. And I think that's where we stand right now. This, looking at this last slide, it ties into everything we've discussed so far. So more important from my perspective is to try to get the input of everyone here and say, you're right, you're wrong, give us some constructive criticism. Where do we go from here?
Well, I guess I'm wondering if there's some sort of concerted effort that we could make to ensure that retiring faculty who have retired and not gotten replaced are going to get replaced, and that we look at the numbers of adjuncts to full-time, the way that that's been skewed recently, and also the lack of a significant number of counselors for students to work with. So in some ways, for me, those are issues that I think that the faculty somehow needs to push forward against the administration on sort of continuing to stack up adjuncts while we don't replace the core curriculum people, because who's going to be writing the annual assessment reports? Who's going to be doing all that kind of stuff? Falls and falls and not less and less people. And also, it's sort of the white elephant in the room that without faculty participation, you have no self-governance.
And, as an adjunct, and I've been here for, as I said, 18 years, we have now, I don't know the exact number because it's changing every day, but there are over 900 part-time faculty now teaching classes. That's about, they teach about over 40% of the classes here at PCC. And I, for one, and I can't speak for every adjunct, but I know that adjuncts know that we've lost positions, as it's noted on the screen. 33 plus full-time positions have been lost, and I think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think that we do need to ensure that we have full-time tenure track positions in place for the students, and a stable workforce for the students, which isn't really, we do the best we can as adjuncts, but we don't have access to a lot of places where we can go. We've written a resolution which has gone through the Academic Senate to increase the number of adjuncts on the Academic Senate, and that's been approved and hopefully going forward. And we're trying to work to have some say in shared governance, because there are always going to be adjuncts teaching. And we had something.
Yeah, I just want, could you explain how frustrating it is for an adjunct faculty to want to, and I'm sure the same thing for faculty as well, to spend the time with their students that they know they need? For example, full-time faculty are required to spend 5.5 hours a week in their office for their students to come get help, whether it's whatever kind of academic help it is. But I understand that adjunct faculty, how many hours? So that's 5.5 hours a week times, I'm not sure how many weeks in the semester that we are there and available for our students. How many hours do you get for your students?
We get 22.5 minutes a week.
I see. And can you explain just for the
A week,
students
yes.
here how frustrating that must be for you and also for them when they desperately need this help and they get exactly 22 per minute a week?
That's what the district pays us for advising students. I do not know of any part-time faculty member who at the end of 22.5 minutes says, I have to go. Okay. Adjunct faculty meet with their students like full-time faculty meet with their students. Whenever they need to meet, we meet. And it could take 5 times longer than 22.5 minutes a week to do that. we have to work on those things to increase the access to part-time faculty. We don't often have a place where we can meet even. I don't feel comfortable having them meet in my office, which is actually my car.
And well, you should.
Right. Because it's usually full of drawing props to take to another school or something. But no, we work with students the same way that full-time faculty do, basically. And
Alexis, do other districts provide more time and places for their adjunct faculty to meet?
oh, sure. Yeah, I can't speak to that off the top of my head, but most have it on a parity system with full-time faculty. If you're required to do 5.5 hours per week of advising for your students, which I think is the way that you have, then they would have parity with that. And the education code is written to provide adjunct faculty a mirror of full-time faculty situations. We're supposedly in parity in terms of our pay, and of course we aren't, but we're working towards those things, and to having access to all of the things on a college campus that full-time faculty have are to be open for us to also have, including shared governance, which on this campus we haven't quite got the structure going for those things, but I think we're on the right track.
Oh, I'd like to maybe add, go ahead, Deb.
I was going to say, given the fact that the bottom line is that we're here for student success. I mean, whether you're administration, classified staff, faculty, everyone here is from top to bottom, all PCC employees are here for one purpose, student success. I was troubled a few months ago when we underwent this hiring process. During the hiring process, I learned that the counselors, I think Tomas Rioja stated that we have about how many counselors per students?
Oh my God, I can't do the math right now.
But it's about
It's probably like we have probably full-time counselors that are 20, and most of them do the math.
So we have about 20 full-time counselors to about 25,000 students. I mean, it's ridiculous. And as a result of that, we succeeded in hiring 2 extra counselors, I believe.
Yes.
All right, so it really, we went in the process. So we still need to hire probably a good 30, 40 more counselors.
Yes, sir.
And so, which that tells you that, bottom line, there are not enough counselors to serve our students. And here we're all about student success. At the same time, the college is in this growth mode, and we're trying to reach probably student population about 30,000. But throughout the discussion of increasing the student population, nowhere is there saying that they're going to increase the number of counselors. So again, it's the structural changes that we need to have. If we want to grow, by all means, but we want to grow and maintain student success. At a college council meeting, I was shocked to be informed that according to this report, PCC is not even in the top 100. I mean, all these years I've been told that we're top 2, top 3, and lo and behold, we don't even make the top 100.
Top
So
100 of what?
I'm sorry?
Top 100 of what?
Of the best community colleges in the nation, and we're not there. So that was disturbing to hear. So it's something, at least we now have a goal that we can all work harder to achieve student success, to make our college better. But the bottom line is we need certain fundamental changes. We need to hire more faculty. We need to hire a lot more counselors in order to help our students, put them on the right path, to teach them, not teach them, but show them what type of classes they need. Because the bottom line, we need them to transfer and get their 4-year degrees. Jane?
I just wanted to add that it's now time for you to talk with the Senate. How many colleges are going back to the 75-25% that's mandated was law that got more or less put to the side because of state academic problems? Not academic, budget problems. We seem to be coming out of the budget problems. we seem to be saying that we can handle more students, then why are we not hiring to replace full-timers with someone a year after they retire? There's supposed to be a 1-year time limit where you can have a part-timer or part-timers in the position, and then you're supposed to fill it. If we're not filling it, why aren't we filling it? And have they rescinded the state law, or is it going to be put back into play again? And I think working with the State Academic Senate is very important there, because we all know you have to have a base of full-time faculty that goes beyond the office hours that they can give, but it goes into the meetings and the planning and the curriculum and the running of each division is extremely important on having a faculty base in attendance. And when we can't even pay part-timers to give their students full-time, how in the world can we expect them to come and help develop curriculum and programs in the school?
Would anybody from the audience, do they have any questions or ideas in terms of moving forward? Yeah.
Just a comment. Hi, I'm Charmaine. I'm a student here. This is my 3rd semester. I want to respond to the issue on counseling. From my own experience and my friends or like other PCC students that I've known, I think the most important thing is not only we don't know where to ask for help, or is there's limited resources that we have access to, but it's that even if we do ask for help, we get contradicting information wherever we go. So let's just say from the experience I had like last month, I wanted to ask about transfer. Me and my friend went, and then they direct me to the counseling service. But then counseling service directed me to career center, and the career center took me back to transferring transfer center. But then each of these parties, they told me different things concerning the same matter. All I was asking is, how do I know, who do I talk to if I want to look up private schools, like the majors and all the prerequisites, because it's on a different website, like you can't find them on the SIS.org. So I was wondering if I can ask someone who can lead me to finding those answers. And it's just like they're bringing me in circles, and I think that's one of the things that I've encountered here that kind of frustrates me as a student. It's like, well, I'm supposed to have all these resources that can help me and aid me, but then they're not really helping me. They just confuse me more.
Is there someone here that is in charge of communications or campus communication that might want to share or give some advice to the student?
Well, I mean, I could bring that back to, our dean, and I've heard that before. Specifically, though, when it comes to, just to answer your question, when it comes to transferring to any private school, because all the articulation that we do with ASSIST is for our universities in California. So you should have been told that when you're transferring to a private institution, especially if it's out of state, you do have to do that research on your own with that particular website. I've had students transfer to NYU or Boston, and they have to do that research, and they bring it back, and then we can work with you on that. But you shouldn't be bounced around in that way. Someone should have told you that directly, and then referred you to the transfer center. Did they ever refer you to the transfer center at that point? No?
They led me in circles, and in
Right.
the end I got the help I need, but then it's just frustrating because why do I need that much of a time to get an answer to
Right.
one
Yeah.
specific question when you have all these people with all these resources supposedly to back you up with this?
Exactly.
So that's just, I mean,
I can communicate that, definitely with our dean and the counselors, but you should have been directed at least to one place, and that's a transfer center at that point. So here you go to the career center, that's not correct, so I appreciate that.
thank you so much.
Okay?
There's another question.
Well, I don't know how to phrase it, I guess how the best, my concern is that there's an inconsistency with the ability to get classes. For example, to get a chemistry class that I needed, wasn't able to add the class because it filled up. And I heard through the grapevine that if I go to the dean and make my case and seem like I need to transfer by next semester, I'll get the class. So it sounds like if I go to extreme measures, I can get the class that I need, but if I just stay idly by, there's no classes available for me. So I want to know, I guess, how is the best way to handle that situation? Is it best to take control over my education by going to extreme situations and lying to deans and saying, I really need the class just to get a class? Or is there a way that maybe I don't know how it works to get more classes open or to change the date so that when everybody has the dates registered, all the classes aren't open so that they're not all taken, so we can actually get out of the school versus staying here for the rest of our lives and never going anywhere else.
So is anybody in administration that would like to give some advice to the student? I know there's some people in the audience who can hand in that might have some answers. No? I don't know, anybody else want to give some advice?
Did you try going to the dean?
No, I've done that, but it just sounds like it's unfair that in order to get classes, you have to just go to the dean and lie. I don't need the class but to transfer by next year, but to get the class in general, I have to make an exaggerated case.
Or the fact that there is this quote-unquote method to get a class by doing that. It's just...
I don't know of any method like that, but it, so I'm not going to comment on that, whether that works or not. But I think that, ultimately what that leads us to is the question of if we have enough sections, and do we have enough sections here on campus. At the last board meeting, one of the associated students were there, and one of the comments that they made, which I think was interesting, was about opening up the Rosemead campus. And they said that what they had wished is that the administration would really be focusing on the main campus here and trying to add more classes here and use these facilities more efficiently. I don't know how that would affect specifically your chemistry class. I'm not in.
Well, I'm just thinking more of like a fair situation. So I think it's unfair for other students too. They didn't know that they could talk to the dean or go out of their way, so they weren't able to get the class. It may not be about opening classes up, it's maybe more communication, like.
Well, I don't know whether that works or not. So, obviously, if it does work, that would be unfair.
It does work.
I agree with you.
I've done that myself, and I've told friends to call the dean, and they get classes added by just being over dramatic. I don't think that's fair for other students, but.
Chris?
Okay.
Chris, did you
Well,
have something?
the idea of maybe a rollout of sections, so that rather than everything open all at once, that they open sort of in blocks
Yeah.
to allow the first students to register sort of an opportunity and then open more things. I don't do scheduling, I don't know anything about that, but that sounds like an interesting possibility that maybe somebody could look into as a way to phase the enrollment. But it does get broken down a little like that, and then people have more of an opportunity to get in, at different points in the period of registration. So that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and another suggestion might be to communicate with some other students that you also know who have had these situations happen, yours as well, and to, as a group, address the Board of Trustees with these issues. I really believe that, going back to what Jane said earlier, that we need to wake up the Board of Trustees at this college and see if in fact they are serving the students the way that they should and the public the way that they should at the community college. That's, I think, key here to this, many of our issues here on campus.
And by the way,
It's not
there's a
an answer,
handout.
per se.
Sorry, there's a handout on the table, and if there aren't, it will be on our website. It's called Know Before You Go to the Board of Trustees.
Excellent.
Oh, there's a couple,
There it is, right
and
here.
if there aren't any, I'm sure you can.
Well, this is a
Well,
great.
can I just say something on that in regards to what happens when, I don't know if Anita might, well, anyway. When sections close up, particularly English, math, chemistry, those courses that are in high demand for students to meet their transfer goal, the counselors are asked, our department is asked, what what classes should we be opening up? And we always point to those, and that seems to happen every semester when those high demand classes close up. So there is an effort, at least on our department's part, to open up the sections that students actually need, as opposed to opening up basket reading. Nothing against basket reading, but or the arts for that matter, artists myself. But when it comes to high demand classes, we do that. But it just never seems to be enough sections for all the students that we have. But your point about getting the squeaky wheel gets the oil, that's interesting, and I'm sure that has happened. But you do at least try to do that at a level of offering the sections.
I was just going to follow up a little bit on the issue of communicating with the board, and I think that that is a really important measure to take. And it can be done a couple of ways. You can go to board meetings and speak in the public comment usually they start at 7 o'clock, and the first 15 minutes to half an hour is designated for that public comment time, or you can email them. So I think that as they hear, and it seems like the board needs to hear things repeatedly in order to to move and take some action on issues. So those are two ways for students to do that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I think we can call it quits and yes.
I have a question about the student evaluations that are performed on the full-time tenured professors. I'm curious as to know if they're actually reading the reviews on whether the professor is actually a good one or a bad one, and if it's a bad one, then would the school do anything to?
So you mean what happens after evaluations are made? They're given to the instructor. There's usually a discussion with the dean. I mean, this is how it's gone in the past. I don't know how it's going to go in the future since we're undergoing reorganization. I know that I think most professors read them and read over them also themselves and look at the comments that the students make. And I'm sure, in combination with, with other factors may make changes. I think there are sometimes actions taken. I don't really know exactly what they would be, and there aren't any. We don't have any deans here right now. I think Yolanda.
I know that somebody has been put on, needs improvement.
Right. Well, that's what I mean by actions
So
taken.
So
So there are ways that administration, that like dean level administration works with faculty when students identify issues.
the purpose of them is actually to improve our teaching skills. So in terms of that, if something horrible kept coming through on faculty, and I don't know how a dean particularly would act, but basically it's something that we use as a tool to see where there's room for improvement and how we can improve.
Right, and I guess to add to that even as part of the process is, and I think there are problems with this process, as there are problems with maybe our hiring processes, all kinds of things. But when the evaluations come in and there's a collaborative process where faculty create a peer evaluation. And they also, so faculty who have observed the instructor who's being evaluated also discuss that, discuss the faculty practices. So there don't there's an ongoing discussion, and I think an attempt to reflect on instruction and instructional practices.
Victor, you have something to say?
Hi, I'm Victor. You see me around recording a lot of these meetings, so I'm just using the background, but I don't say anything. But I just find it kind of disconcerting that this is a town hall, and that not a single member of the administration could have been part of the panel, given that there are students with concerns, educational concerns, which they could have directly answered. And it speaks volumes as to the state of affairs at this college, that where is the communication directly between students and management, considering how many managers we have on this campus now. Not a single one could be here. It's very sad. And it feels like everyone's in it on their own. And it creates this environment where a lot of students feel like nobody's here to help me.
Well, and I need to add to that, I think it's really unfortunate that not one board members on the first town hall were invited to that one also, and declined to come, stating it was a violation of the Brown Act. And had all of them, actually I've seen all of the board members, or pretty much all of the board members at other meetings in town where they were not acting on union business or on board business together in the same room. So I think obviously they can't come and create policy, but a couple of them could have come certainly. And that's unfortunate that none of them is here today to listen to anybody's concerns and plans for the future.
It seems like we have to go to them. Chris, do you want to say something?
Well, I was just thinking, it's interesting that there's been a lot of talk on the campus in terms of the educational programs about how things were operating in these silos, so that each educational division was kind of an entity into itself, and that has to be opened up, and there has to be more cross sort of pollination between divisions. And the only part of the campus that really is not participating in that is the administration, who continues to act with, behind closed doors, make decisions without consulting with faculty. And I think they somehow need to be encouraged to, participate in their own, their own program of breaking down these silos and really getting the communication going all the way across the campus from the top to the bottom. And it's not just about the educational programs, but it's about, a bigger picture than that. And how to encourage them to, that we're all stronger and we're all better when we're working together towards the same goals. And as long as there's sort of a blockage, or, one group is working together and somebody's not, then we're not really complete and we're not as good as we could be.
Exactly, and the only other thing I want to say, just really quickly, is that also I saw some staff folks here as well, who are very much a part of the college community, and actually are across, as opposed to that silo, which faculty and we tend to be in more. But the staff on this campus also work very throughout, and also should be included, I think, more in these discussions. So I was happy to see some staff were here.
Just as an organizational side note about including the staff in this town hall, I went to the classified Senate. I went to 3 Senate meetings there and encouraged them to participate and work together with the faculty senate on this event. But there was some hesitancy. It seems like that they don't have the job security that full-time tenure track faculty do. So if they were sitting here speaking up and saying things that they may want to say, there could be recourse. So right now there's not that job security. I'm not saying that's why they didn't participate, but a lot of times when we ask for participation, it is one factor.
I don't have job security either, but that's why I do participate.
I'd like to go back to the silo effect. I think that's a misnomer, and I think it's imposed upon us. In social science and English and using other sciences, we tried to establish a transfer block program, which was 3 blocks that
We cover required courses to go to the universities, University of California. We had 3 blocks in place. We were ready to do a 4th so that every single course would be covered. And students could come in, and we talked about easy transfer. They'd get 3 classes, 4 classes at a time, and they'd move out and they'd be ready to go in 2 years or 2.5 years at most. Less than 2 years, really, because we were going to have 4 blocks. It's the administration that undermined the first 2 blocks. We had only 1 block left, out of the 3, and we've never got the 4th okay. Now, we spent several years working on this. No help from the administration, no pay from the administration, and we did this because we believe that this is essential to help students transfer. And then we're told, well, we don't have anybody who wants to teach 1A. Do they come to the teachers and ask us? No, they don't. They make a decision, and we're told, well, this is not going to be offered this semester. The idea is that it has to be offered in step-by-step fashion so that a student can start in with a 1A, go to the next set of classes and the next set of classes, and then be able to transfer. And so it's not the faculty, and it's not the faculty that's putting us in silos. It is something in the administration that has thwarted this. We had another block, an arts and science block that went on for 3 years, and the same thing happened. The faculty were working hard on it, and we did not get the support of the administration. So every time we try to solve the problem we say is lack of ability to get classes to transfer, we meet walls. And that's unfair, because our job is to make education accessible and give it to the student in as much sophistication and clarity as we can, and move them on to the 4-year colleges. And the block programs were wonderful, but they've been demolished, and I do blame the administration for that.
I think we're going to wrap up, because some of our panelists have classes to teach. I did want to give the panelists a little gift. So take your pick. These are PCC magnets. For volunteering your time. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to the students, the faculty, and staff that are here. Help yourself to some food to go.
Thank you for putting this together.
You're welcome. We'll see you at the next one. Thank you.